Hey, Bloomington Normal, and welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and let's get right into it. Ben & Jerry's gets decimated after 4th of July post. Bud Light loses another major ranking, and misgendering someone now can actually get you thrown in jail if you live in this state. All of this and more on Speechless. Guys so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and you are watching or listening to Speechless. You might be listening on your radio, and that's perfectly fine. But did you know you could also be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, and also watching on there? And if you do just so happen to go check me out on any of those platforms, I would really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share the video, and then leave me some comments. I want to know what you're thinking about everything I'm talking about here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in Central Illinois. I also want to give a quick shout out to my good friend Paul Garcia of Paul Garcia Productions. He does an amazing job of creating advertisements and digital media for local businesses in Central Illinois. And if you want to help your business get more business, visit Paul Garcia Productions today on YouTube. His stuff is in my description, so you can look at that in the video just to see everything that Paul Garcia does. He's helped me out with getting these cameras so we can be all set up on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble so I can interact with you and you can interact with me in the studio. Everybody, I have had a busy weekend and I will have a busy week coming up. Before we get into all the stories that I plan to cover, I just want to let everybody know yesterday I had the opportunity to be at a wedding in Central Illinois, pretty much in Kankakee, and it was an absolutely beautiful wedding. Had so much fun, open bar, so that's how you always know it's going to be a good time. And I was out there celebrating the wedding of Casey and Wyatt. Claire, they're the Claires now. Casey and Wyatt, I've been good friends with Casey's dad, Mike, for a long time out there, and congratulations to them. Casey and Wyatt, congratulations on your marriage yesterday, and have a beautiful time at your guys' honeymoon. I know you're leaving for that in a few days. And please keep on listening to Speechless even throughout your marriage. Maybe I can bring you guys on. You can give me some marriage advice. I'd really appreciate it sometimes. I know Mike is probably watching right now, or he will at some point. So Mike, thank you so much for the invite and having me and my family at that beautiful wedding. It's so amazing to just celebrate love at a wedding, right? It was a beautiful Catholic mass for the wedding. And then obviously the reception was a lot of fun, and it's very fun to celebrate love. And we've had a lot of celebration within the last week. Last Tuesday was July 4th. Last Sunday, I brought on constitutional attorney David Shostokis to talk all about the actual true meaning of July 4th and Independence Day. However, some decided to take July 4th in a different direction. Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream company, decided to take it in a different direction. And a lot of people are calling for a boycott now because of the way they decided to celebrate July 4th. And I'm going to talk about that, but I want to talk about, a lot of people are surprised. They might have not known that Ben & Jerry's has been a very woke company for quite a while. Their CEO being a consistent activist, oftentimes for lefty and liberal causes. Sometimes he actually gets it right. He actually was not in support of sending military aid to Ukraine for the sole purpose of that he tends to try to promote peace. And so I was supportive of that. But I've been boycotting Ben & Jerry's since back in 2018. In October 2018, Ben & Jerry's came out with a flavor called Resist. Yes, it was a flavor called Resist. Fox Business in 2018 during Trump's presidency had this to say: Ben & Jerry's, the Vermont-based ice cream company known for the backing of progressive causes, on Tuesday, back in 2018, unveiled a flavor called Pecan Resist to protest the Trump administration on policies that Ben & Jerry's deems discriminatory. They said, quote, "We are proud to announce that our newest flavor, Pecan Resist, has so much more than funky chunks under the lid," the company said on its website. It supports 4 organizations that are working towards a more just and equitable future and peacefully resisting the Trump administration's regressive and discriminatory policies. Ben & Jerry added the groups, quote, "are working hard to defend and progress a more inclusive society focusing on racial and gender equity, climate change, LGBTQ rights, and refugee and immigrant rights." Yes, that's back in 2018, everybody. Ben & Jerry's has been woke for quite a while. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or anything like that, you could see even just within the past week, this was on June 24th, they had a post on Twitter: 5 things we need to do right now to protect reproductive rights. Yes, they claimed back on June 24th, 1 year ago today, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and ended federal protections for abortion access. Now abortion bans are on the rise and reproductive rights are under attack. Here's what we can do to fight back. So basically, here's exactly what's going on with Ben and Jerry's. For a long time, they've basically been the human rights campaign. You know, I've talked about the human rights campaign in the past, very, very lefty organization. They're basically the human rights campaign that sells ice cream on the side. That's basically what Ben and Jerry's does. There's tons more that they've actually done to show how woke they are. I'll show one more before we get into what they posted on January 4th. This post coming from June 29th, 5 days after their abortion one, talks about the SCOTUS rulings, and they're very, very mad about affirmative action being gutted because it's a crucial tool to fight against white supremacy. By overturning decades of precedent, the ruling further entrenches the legacy of slavery and racism while perpetuating white privilege. That's what Ben and Jerry's, again, the ice cream company, had to say about the Supreme Court rulings. Yes, they like to get political over there at Ben and Jerry's, not really even caring about the quality of their product. You know, I've had Ben and Jerry's in the past, always found it to be particularly unimpressive and overpriced. But that said, this is the post that they decided to make that is now garnering a significant amount of attention. This is what they posted on July 4th. Yes, on July 4th, Ben and Jerry's posted, the 4th of July shows that it's high time that we recognize that the U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land and commit to returning it. Learn more and take action now. And they post a link there that brings you to a page about signing I believe it's signing some kind of a petition, telling stories about all this stuff, how all of America is stolen land. And it says, even take action now, return Mount Rushmore to the Black Hills, to the Lakota. They want to return Mount Rushmore to the Lakota people and the Black Hills, apparently. Here's the first thing I have to say about this is almost every inch of land on the entire face of this planet is stolen. And that's not justifying some certain horrors that might have happened, that colonists might have committed unto indigenous people. I'm sure that there were bad things, but currently it resides that the land is American land, and there have been instances in which Americans have tried to repent for serious, back when the actual injustices had happened. Soon after that, people had realized, maybe we actually did something wrong, and they tried to do something about that. But Ben and Jerry's taking to Twitter and trying to push this insane July 4th message was quickly shown to not be popular by the American populace. According to the New York Post, Ben & Jerry's parent company has lost nearly $2 billion in market cap amid the calls to boycott the Vermont-based ice cream maker over a July 4th tweet condemning the U.S. for existing on stolen indigenous land. Shares of the Unilever, which is the Anglo-Dutch multinational firm, slid 0.8% Thursday after closing down 0.5% the previous day. So Unilever is the one that owns Ben & Jerry's. The company's stock price has closed Thursday at $51.31, nearly $1 below its closing price of $52.28 during Monday's shortened trading. And the day before, Ben & Jerry's posted its unpatriotic tweet. The result has seen its market cap drop from $128.5 billion to 128.5 billion from $130.2 billion. So again, just about $2 billion in market cap lost simply for posting that tweet. Maybe this is the next Bud Light, but again, Ben & Jerry's has been a woke company for quite a while. But the thing is that they had never really ever been called out on their wokeism. Nobody ever boycotted besides me silently, apparently. I've been hating Ben & Jerry's since before it was cool. But finally, somebody actually is standing up to Ben & Jerry's and trying to call them out and have them show their cards. On Friday, Don Stevens, a chief of Nulhagen Band of Kusik Abenaki Nation. I know I'm absolutely butchering those names. I'm sorry. Basically, he is the chief of a Native American tribe. One of 4 tribes descended from the Abenaki that are recognized in Vermont, told the New York Post, in an interview that he, quote, looks forward to any kind of correspondence with the brand to see how they can better benefit indigenous people. Stevens added that if the ice cream maker is sincere, it should reach out to him, as the company's corporate headquarters, located at 30 Community Drive in South Burlington, Vermont, is situated on Western Abenaki land. He said, quote, if you look at the traditional way of being of his people, we are place-based people. Before recognized tribes in the state, we were ones who were in this place, Stephen said, adding that the Abenaki view themselves as stewards of that land. They view themselves as that. Humans have a responsibility to take care of resources and places because we have that ability to destroy it, he added. Ben & Jerry's this week also included a call to action with a link to sign a petition to return to Mount Rushmore to the Lakota peoples. I mentioned that earlier. Representatives for Ben & Jerry's did not immediately respond to the post request for comment. So you have a chief that is trying to actually say, hey, you want to call out stolen land? Why don't you give back the land that you own to my people that it's apparently stolen from? That's what he says. Ben & Jerry's decides not to comment. Radio silence. Interesting. Well, maybe they can't comment due to being a little preoccupied. Their CEO of Ben & Jerry's, Ben Cohen, was arrested Thursday by Department of Homeland Security police for blocking the entrance to the Department of Justice building in Washington, D.C., where he was apparently protesting the detainment of Julian Assange. Julian Assange, for anybody who does not know, was one of the founders of WikiLeaks, and has been a crucial part and has a hand in exposing a lot of what the government hides from us. I believe Edward Snowden was one thing that he had helped out with originally as well. The interesting thing is that the Ben & Jerry's founder gets arrested for that when they decided to have this marketing ploy about stolen land, and a literal chief from a Native American tribe says, hey, more than willing to talk to you about getting our land back. And they have nothing to say. No comment. They were reached out to comment by the New York Post. No comment. And here's the thing about this whole story, the give the land back. So one, okay, have that conversation. Have the conversation about genuine injustices that were committed against Indigenous people upwards of 250 years ago, and within that time as well. Have that conversation. Yes, the bad things, colonists did commit bad things to Indigenous people. That is undisputed history to everyone out there. But is July 4th, the day in which we talk about America's independence, the actual founding of this nation, is that the day that needs to have that conversation? One. Two, again, almost every inch of land on the face of this planet at one time belonged to someone else and now belongs to someone new. I don't like calling it stolen land because the land in and of itself was not necessarily stolen. It was conquered. America exists on conquered land. And not all of it was even conquered. Not all of it was necessarily inhabited. It's a very reductionist view of American history and takes out the incredible complexities that is the relationship between Native American tribes themselves, because they weren't all friends. Like, not all Native American tribes were friends. They had land disputes in and of themselves. And then also the relationship between colonists and Native Americans themselves. It's reductionist to just call it stolen land. No, much of it was conquered. Some of it was sold, bought and sold. And you could have the argument as to whether or not it was a fair trade, whatever. Have that argument, but you can't just call all of it and say it's all stolen, that America exists on stolen land. It's reductionist and stupid. Anybody who says that is a moron. You're an absolute moron if you say something like that, because you just sound stupid. Even ISU, the college I go to, they do this thing called a land acknowledgement at their student government meetings. A land acknowledgement, which, if anything, is actually just kind of offensive. And it's kind of what this Ben & Jerry's tweet did. It's offensive. It's saying, hey, everybody, we're going to come up here and say that we stole your land from you, and we're going to acknowledge it. But that's it. Let's just read a statement at the beginning of our meetings just to acknowledge that you might have used to own this land, but it's ours now. No. What are you actually gonna do? What are you actually going to do? I actually love that this chief came out, because if you're going to complain and say that this is all stolen land, that America is on stolen land, especially on July 4th, which again, incredibly disrespectful. If you're going to come out and say that, put your money where your mouth is, Ben & Jerry's. Give the land back. You have every power to do it, Mr. CEO. Well, you usually have the power to do it when you're not in jail for blocking the entrance to the Department of Justice. Look, I have no problem with protest. I protest things myself. In fact, I'm protesting Ben and Jerry's for their blatant idiocy. But do it within the law. Everybody out there. Conservatives have broken the law protesting before. We know that. Everybody, if you're going to protest something, do it within the law. And I strongly urge you to protest Ben and Jerry's because they've been woke for a very long time. They've been woke for a very long time. And so join me in not eating Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I'd rather much eat great value ice cream from Walmart because it's like $3 cheaper and you get a lot more of it. And you're not supporting woke bullcrap. Everybody, if you want to join me, you can on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. But I do have to take a quick break here on the radio, and we're just getting started. There's a lot more to cover, and I'm here for all of it. So if you want to interact with me throughout the breaks, but if you're still listening on the radio, definitely listen to our advertisers. They do amazing work, and they just do an amazing job supporting us as an activist organization, as an activist network, and an opinion network. And so thank them. And thank them by supporting their businesses. Thank you so much. We will be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Feel free to text or call in at 309-451-9299. We'll be back after the break. Okay, I'm getting texts here, I believe, from a heckler. I'm being called an imbecile. I got called an imbecile. Let's look at everybody that's in the chat. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in wherever you're tuning in from. I appreciate it. I see some people here commenting on YouTube. I see I got a few people watching on Rumble as well. Feel free to comment on Rumble. I am keeping an eye on that. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Thank you so much for tuning in. Oklahoma Chicken Cam. It is a Sunday show that is worth listening to. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a topic to divulge into. That's one. I still have so many more to talk about, but they are getting decimated. Again, $2 billion in market cap loss simply in a day after their woke crap. So celebrating your birthday weekend. Happy birthday, Unconventional. Happy birthday to you. And thank you again for tuning in. Go woke, go broke. Absolutely. Go woke, go broke. And again, Ben and Jerry's has been woke for quite a while. I don't know why it's been so long and they still have that much. Maybe it's just because they're being propped up by the larger organization Unilever, the Anglo-Dutch multinational firm. But yes, they are a woke company and they do a lot of woke crap. So thank you for anybody tuning in right now. I see some people on City's Facebook. Feel free to comment. You could also text or call in at 309-451-9299 at that text line. Let me know what you guys think about any of these things we're about to talk about. I'm going to do, let's see what we're going to do in the next segment. All right, I think I got a story here for us. But yeah, so I had a wedding over the weekend, and that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to just kind of let loose a little bit and celebrate love, Celebrate love. It wasn't my wedding, I can tell you that. But it was a lot of fun. Congratulations to my friends Casey and Wyatt on their marriage. What are you guys up to? I mean, Unconventional said it's her birthday weekend. Happy birthday. We're going to come back here in, just probably about a minute, a little less than a minute. And in the meantime, I'd love anything you guys got to say. Leave it in the comments. I'll see what you're saying. Hope the audio and video is good. I'm also taking actually a trip. For anybody who watches my daily show, you can also everybody, this is a good time to point out, I do a daily show on my YouTube channel now. It only posts to my YouTube. Sometimes I think I get it onto my Rumble. Not all the time though, but it's on my YouTube channel. I do have a daily show that I do, Speechless, the daily show, in which I cover a lot of topics. Sometimes they're ones I reuse some for my weekly show on Sundays, but a lot of times I try to take whatever news is happening that day and cover that. So feel free to go like, subscribe, and share my YouTube channel at Speechless Kev, which is pointed out right up there. And you can, right there. And you can let me know what you think. We're coming back. Hey, and welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and while we've been talking about so much already, and we are only 25 minutes into this show, thank you guys so much for tuning in on Cities 92.9. You could also be watching me and commenting and interacting during the breaks on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. Yes, I am on all of those on Cities 92.9, or you can also look up at Speechless Kev. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you're going to watch on there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is a shorter segment for me, and so I'm going to quickly go through a story out of Tennessee. This is good news before I get into all the other bad news that I oftentimes get very angry about. And this is a good news. Tennessee law protecting kids from trans procedures to take full effect after a court victory. Out of the Daily Wire, a Tennessee law protecting children from life-altering transgender procedures will be able to take full effect after an appeals court overruled a federal judge's ruling that blocked the law's prohibition of giving kids cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers. On Saturday, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Court ruled against the preliminary injunction that was originally held by the United States District Judge Eli Richardson that had blocked portions of Tennessee's law that prevented transgender surgeries and hormone procedures on children. The appeals court decision came after Tennessee AG Jonathan Skrmetti filed a motion for an emergency stay. So basically what had happened is there's this law that Tennessee was trying to put into place that was making it illegal for children to be given hormone therapy, life-altering, and an original federal judge had put an injunction on it saying, you can't do this yet. We have to look into it more. Well, an appeals court said, no, this can go into effect. And it's even said, and it will be going into effect, I believe, in July, or maybe not July, maybe it's August, sometime this year, coming up soon. But it's also said that this case is far from over, but this is a big win. The Court of Appeals lifted the injunction, meaning the law can be fully enforced, and recognized that Tennessee is likely to win the constitutional argument and the case, because there's likely going to be lawsuits from LGBTQ organizations that want children to have life-altering and potentially be making something that they do not want, a decision that they do not want, to have hormone therapy and even potential surgeries. In this decision, Sutton wrote that the health risks associated with puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, which have been associated with future fertility problems, were a key consideration for the court. He was also skeptical of Richardson's claim that the Tennessee's law violated the 14th Amendment. So the original argument from the injunction is that it violated the quote-unquote right to privacy, very similar to the argument that was made that kept Roe v. Wade alive for so long in terms of abortion. That prompts the question whether the people of this country ever agreed to remove debates of this sort about the use of new drug treatments on minors from the conventional place of dealing with new norms, new drugs, and new technologies. The democratic process, he wrote, life-tenured federal judges should be wary of removing a vexing and novel topic of medical debate from ebbs and flows of democracy by construing a largely unamendable federal constitution to occupy the field. It is well within the state's police power, to ban off-label uses of certain drugs. At the same time, it is difficult to maintain that the medical community is of one mind about the use of hormone therapy for gender dysphoria when the FDA is not prepared to put its credibility and careful testing protocols behind its use. So they used it was not transphobia that kept it from having kids being able to have hormone therapy. No, it was facts, logic, and science. Lefties. Facts, logic, science. So call me an imbecile. Tell me I'm stupid. Tell me I'm hateful. Nope. Using facts, logic, and science to basically make it so that we don't life alter or let kids basically ruin their lives through having hormone therapy that causes significant health risks. But that's pretty much that story. We're going to be back with more Speechless. Going to do a Bud Light update and a lot more coming up soon here on Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, everybody. We are back here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, and thank you guys for tuning in. I do, like I said earlier, I have a daily show that I now do on my YouTube channel. So you can go check that out. Ryan, thank you so much for the compliment. He likes it. It's a nice change of pace during the week. It's usually about 30 to 40 minutes, just covering topics that are that day, or maybe something that I might have missed from a day before or something. But that's mainly that. I hope you guys like the daily show. If you ever have any comments, please leave them on those videos. I do read through those I want to know what you guys think of it because Daily Show takes up a lot of my time throughout my day, and I want to make sure that I'm not wasting it and that you guys genuinely like that content. So you can go check out my YouTube channel if you're not currently watching on YouTube. You can check it out at Speechless Kev right there, and like, subscribe, and share. Raven, you've already missed a lot, bud. Thank you so much for tuning in, but you missed a lot. We've covered like 7 stories already. I'm going through it today. I'm going through it. I'm aware. I'm right there. I'm ready for everything that we got going on in the news and in the world. A lot of social stuff today. Good thing for that Tennessee law, but don't worry, we're still going to get back to all the things that make Kevin mad because Kevin gets mad a lot. So let's go back up here, find where I left off. Let's see. Oh, I have such a fun listener that's commenting a lot of mean things in, in my chat. I don't really care. Screw him. And thank you for listening, everybody. I'm going to be back here semi soon. Okay, next segment we are talking about Bud Light. I know I talk about Bud Light a lot, but it's because I am truly impressed with how we've been able to absolutely destroy that brand. And I got an interesting take, and I've covered it a little bit. Woke is broke and woke is broke. Absolutely, Alice Bradley. Haters are going to hate. Yep, absolutely. We'll be back here soon, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Leave me comments. And don't forget to, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, wherever you're watching, please like the video. If you like anything that I say. Want to make sure that this kind of messaging and the news and reporting it in a way that a lot of people don't. Um, definitely give the video a like, share it with your friends if you'd like to. And make sure you subscribe and follow from wherever you're watching from. But I'd really also appreciate it wherever you're watching. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube. That's what I'm trying to push up a lot right now. But if you're watching on Rumble, follow that too for all the fun content that I post and have going on there. So we'll be back soon. If you've never watched my show before, I'm a radio host in Central Illinois. And I just live stream it. And then I do a daily show too that's off air. And that's a lot of fun as well. So we will be back in just about a minute. I will say I am taking a trip to West Palm Beach this week for a Turning Point USA conference. I'm going to keep trying to bring you guys content while I'm down there, but I don't know how consistently the posting will be for the daily shows while I'm down there. I'll try my best, but I will be getting content while I'm down there with Turning Point and trying to get some cool interviews with some cool people. So I'll be down in West Palm Beach this week. So if you're waiting for my daily show, you might not get it. On Tuesday is when I leave. Wednesday is when my flight is. Tuesday, I got to go make my way up to my parents' house up north so I can leave out of O'Hare. Beautiful Chicago O'Hare. Yeah, that airport. So, yeah, but I might try to pre-record a lot tomorrow so then I can still have daily shows. They might just not be super up to date. Yeah, I could block people. I don't want to. I'm not going to block anybody. Say whatever you want. I don't really care. If you think I'm hateful or anything, tell me exactly why I'm hateful. If you think I'm a liar, tell me exactly what I lied about. And if you can't tell me those things, then your opinion's irrelevant. We're coming back. Hey, Hey, and welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev Phares. Thank you so much for tuning in, no matter where you're tuning in from. You could be tuning in on your radio, and that's great. You might be sitting in your car, but if you're not in your car and you want to, you can go to Cities 92.9 Facebook. You could also go to my own personal YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Rumble and be able to watch me and see me in studio, interact with me. You could post in the comments on YouTube or on Rumble, and I will read them. Same with Facebook. I'll read them, and it's a lot of fun. But thank you for listening if you're on your radio or our app too. We really do appreciate it. I, again, am your host, Kev Phares, here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, talking to you guys about a lot of different social issues and things that are going on. And again, I really appreciate you tuning in because I know that you could be doing other things on your Sunday, but instead you want to hear about some news covered in a way that no one else is covering it. And so here is another story, one that I've been following consistently for a long time here on my channel and on Cities, is Bud Light. Bud Light has taken another rankings hit and continues more and more fallout since the Dylan Mulvaney controversy. And I'm going to give some business advice to Bud Light during this segment too. But first, out of the Daily Wire, Bud Light has taken another hit in its rankings, losing its place as one of the country's top 10 most popular beers. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light's parent company, has unsuccessfully tried to rehabilitate the Bud Light brand following severe backlash over its partnership with transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney back in April. Bud Light is currently sitting at the number 14 spot, a drop from number 9 last year, according to a YouGov survey, Fox News reported. The top 5 most liked beers in the United States include Guinness, Heineken, Corona, Samuel Adams, and Blue Moon, the report added. The survey from YouGov was conducted during the second quarter of 2023, April to mid-June, and sampled about almost 1,500 Americans, according to Newsweek. Some 42% of Americans still say that they liked Bud Light in the survey, which is the same proportion from 2022. Interesting. However, other brands surged in popularity at the same time. So, while 42% of Americans say that they still like Bud Light, and it's the same as 2022, every other or significant number of other beers and brands surged in popularity, knocking Bud Light out of the top 10. Yes, out of the top 10. It used to be, I believe it was number 9, and now it is down to about 14. Makes sense. People would rather drink a beer that doesn't necessarily shove an agenda down their throat. That's why people have been drinking Coors. I've been drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. Others drink Miller. And yes, those companies might engage in some woke crap. They might donate to an LGBTQ pride parade. They might. But they didn't make it as public and as glaring as Bud Light did. And they don't have influencers that actively push the lie that men can become women and women can become men. Sorry, Bud Light. I still have advice for Bud Light, but I want to cover this too. Bud Light keeps losing financially as well, according to Fox News. The latest data shows that the slump Bud Light has been in since partnering with Mulvaney, even in the summer months, the slump has continued even through the summer months when beer sales often surge. According to beer tracker Bump Williams Consulting, Bud Light sales dropped 28% for the second to last week of June, compared to the same time period from last year. Respectively, Yuengling, Coors Light, and Miller Lite all rose by 22%, 19%, and 16%, respectively, for that same period, according to Money Watch. Meanwhile, Circana noted that Modelo and Coors Light each saw their sales grow by around $10 million during that same period. So here's the thing, everybody. Modelo is actually owned by Anheuser-Busch. I reported previously that Modelo overtook Budweiser as being like the king of beers in terms of what its sales are, its rankings, and everything like that. And but Modelo is also owned by Anheuser-Busch. So if you want to actually boycott not just Bud Light and all of Anheuser-Busch, you should include Modelo in that list as well. But I also covered this on my daily show, the Anheuser-Busch CEO. So all of this, the financial loss, the loss in its ranking of most liked beers, this is all coming after the Anheuser-Busch CEO, Brandon Whitworth, as I reported earlier, spoke to CBS this morning on how they've been weathering the Mulvaney backlash. And he claimed the company would maintain its commitment to support the LGBTQ community, but in the future, it would, quote, focus on what we do best, which is brewing great beer for everyone, listening to our consumers, being humble in listening to them, and making sure we do right by our employees. So I've said it a lot. The only people I feel bad for in this entire thing are the ground level employees of Anheuser-Busch. Sucks. You had no control over this, and your company made an incredibly awful marketing decision. And I know it's hurting, but there's other jobs out there, and I recommend you find one. Honestly, an employee boycott of Anheuser-Busch would be just as great. So then we can actually basically decimate the entire company after what they did. And that's my personal opinion. But if I were to give my business opinion, here's my business opinion to Anheuser-Busch and to Bud Light. My business opinion would be go all in at this point. Be the gay beer. Be the gayest beer you could be, Bud Light. Be so gay you put, I don't know, Liberace to shame. Make the gay cans. Put Dylan Mulvaney on all of them. All of them. Push your agenda. Push that agenda. Because no amount of pandering will bring back your original base. I reported last week on my YouTube channel about the 4th of July ad where Budweiser tried to show, oh, well, we've been supporting veterans for 13 years. Please, conservatives, please come back to me. Come back to me, conservatives. That's what Budweiser's trying to do. They're trying to pander. They have American flag cans and everything to try to pander. We don't care. You're going to continue to lose. So my idea is be so gay. Be the gayest beer. Because that's the community you've chosen through your support of Dylan Mulvaney as an influencer. And again, an influencer that is just a paid actor. All Dylan Mulvaney does is pretend to be a woman and gets paid. And gets endorsement deals and everything like that. Dylan Mulvaney is a paid actor. That's what you paid her to do. Him. Whatever. I don't care. The point being is go all in. Go all in on that. Because you're not getting conservatives back. And I hope that's well shown in your finances and in your rankings. Be the gay beer. In a strange twist, however, yes, a strange twist, being biologically correct can actually get your children suspended from school. Or you could even get charged with a felony. In one state, at least. And I'm going to cover that in the next segment, everybody. I'll be back soon to talk about exactly how being biologically sound and biologically correct can get you in a lot of trouble nowadays. Yes, it can. I'll be covering that and more when we come back with Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and we'll be back with more on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington, Normal, and beyond. Feel free to text or call in at 309-451-9299. I see I'm getting text blown up, probably hecklers, but that's perfectly fine. I'll try my best to address you if you say anything of substance. Usually you don't, but sometimes you do. 309-451-9299. I'd love to hear from you. We'll be right back. So this heckler just keeps telling me. I'm telling you, it's not in the YouTube chat or anything like that. It's not on Facebook. It's the text line 309-451-9299, which you guys could also text to if you want to, if you feel the need. But I can go and do and I'll pull up your comments here in a moment on what you're saying. I have a texter. They said, am I the only listener you have? Well, if they logged in and saw on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, any of that, they'd see I have more than one listener. And if you want to increase that, please like the video, share, keep commenting. It puts it up in the algorithm, and share it on like your Facebook or something if you think I do anything good. And then they say, it's hard to believe that you are actually this stupid. I don't think it's that hard to believe. I can be kind of stupid sometimes. I'm a 22-year-old kid. Like that's like the time to be stupid, but okay. And then they say, I listen because it's astonishing. Well, that's close to a compliment. But let's see what we got going on in here. All my friends, because that person's not my friend. Screw them. Let's go up. I see Jim came in. Thank you for joining, Jim. Jim said hi to Andrea. Thank you for joining, Andrea, Raven, everybody. Check Cash David. I see you all here. License. Thanks for joining. Thank you guys all for commenting. Ryan, I see this. What'd you say here? I had finally delete that text app. Oh yeah, you had the access to it because of the hecklers. Yeah, they're funny. Um, Corona is Mexican. Yes, but it's also owned and same Modelo and Corona, I believe, are both owned by Anheuser-Busch. Um, I saw rainbow color beer might actually be kind of cool. Um, I might drink it if it pours out in a rainbow. Might be cool unless it turns you gay. Tall order with Liberace. No, and like go for it. Bud Light, like you're just not gonna win back any of your people. Like that's my business advice. If you want to get back everything, like just go all in at this point. My God, the heckle keeps heckling. Heckler keeps heckling. This is funny. I like reading it. I'm doing pretty good. Check cash, David. I'm a little tired. I'll be honest. I said earlier in the show I had a wedding this last week, or just yesterday, actually, last night. And so I'm a little tired from that because I went to that wedding. It was a lot of fun, but gets me tired, I'll be honest. I drank. I mean, I'm 22, so I had a good time. So yeah, the board wants the CEO to resign. Go for it. At this point, I'm just like, they're just gonna keep losing. They're gonna keep losing. Like if they want to stay a brand, what they should do is go all in. Go all in. Do it. Become the gay beer. That's my belief. But anybody who's watching, wherever you're watching from, if you're on Rumble, I see I got a few watchers on Rumble. Thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you follow me on Rumble. Speechless with Kevin Phares, and you can also comment on there. And I'm reading, waiting for those comments. You can also like the video. I'd appreciate all that. Thank you. I also like to watch hecklers make fools of themselves. Also, if you just tuned in, for anybody watching out there, be ready. This week, I'm going to have some great content coming out. It might take me a little bit to edit, but I'll be getting content from Turning Point USA's CLS, SAS, and ActCon, different conferences they're holding down in West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm going out there, going to try to get a lot of fun content my plan is to talk to different students, similar to how I did the protest. You guys might have seen that video, the protest I did, where I went and talked to a lot of, I went and talked to protesters for the DeSantis event. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to talk to conservatives and just ask them simple questions. Like I tried to ask the protesters. I asked, what are you out here protesting? I'm going to talk to conservatives. Why do you love America? Why is that? Why stuff like that? I'm getting a caller right now. I'm going to answer that real quick. Hi there, Kev Phares for Speechless. How can I help you? Hey, Andrea. Hmm? Yeah, we can have a quick chat. I'm going to put you on hold. This next segment is a short one for me, so it'd be perfect to bring you on. I'm going to put you on hold. Going to bring you back in about 10 seconds, okay? Sounds good. Okay, about to come back. Nope, even all the hecklers that are commenting aren't going to break my stride. And you can go in there. I'm getting all these hecklers. They're like, why do other hosts not come to your show? Huh? Well, I produce a lot of the other shows, and it's a Sunday 3 to 5. So I appreciate you guys purely listening because I know it's not a time that's significantly convenient for a lot of people. A lot of times I do, though, try to get other hosts on here, and they do come when they're available. David oftentimes stays after I produce his show. I've had Ty Smith on before. I had Kat Peterson on my daily show on my YouTube just this last Friday. I bring on a lot of different people, I do. Sorry, I like to talk to myself sometimes. That's one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, call me crazy. I don't care. I talk to myself sometimes. But right now, I'm not going to talk to myself. I have a guest on the line, a good friend and continuous contributor here onto my show, Speechless. Andrea, can you hear me?
Hey, Kev, how you doing?
Doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing just great. I just want to give a quick happy birthday, the unconventional one on
Of course.
YouTube. Happy birthday, darling.
Awesome. Awesome. What are you thinking about everything that we're talking about here too today?
This is what I think about this whole LGBTQ trans thing.
Mhm.
Kev. I just think, in my opinion, it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
To grab your tinfoil hat if you want. I think this is way sinister than people kind of really understand right now. In my opinion, this is what it looks like to me. It looks like if we're sterilizing, kind of like, and that's what we're doing, sterilizing a generation, it looks to me like the elites are just trying to decide who's going to be able to have kids and who's not. And this is just the way to do it. You know what I mean? For that whole diversity and inclusion.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, is that we have a society that seems to value acceptance and acceptance. Again, like, we used to preach a thing called tolerance, meaning that you can live a life that I may disagree with, but I will be respectful to you in society, and we can live a life of respect. But now it's forced acceptance. And that's one of the things I'm going to cover in the next hour with some of what I'm talking about, is you need to accept even somebody who lives within a delusion, or you need to accept that children should be allowed to basically have medical chemical castration. And if you don't accept that, you're a transphobe, you're a bigot. And in some cases, you could go to jail.
Or they could take your children.
Yep.
Right? That's what the thing is. That I think if people step back away from the picture and recognize that no politician's children are transing themselves medically, like you don't hear about any of these elite people's children.
Well, I will push back on that. I know some. I don't know necessarily about the chemicals. I don't know if they're on hormone therapy, but I do know of some. I believe even. Oh my gosh, I forgot there are some politicians though that I have heard that have trans children. So I will push back on you a little bit about that, where they have. But I don't know if they go through the whole hormone therapy or even have surgeries or anything.
There's
like that.
a difference between going through the hormones and cross-dressing. Anybody could put on some lipstick and a dress. It's that whole chemical, the whole hormone thing is a completely different ball of wax.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think the grift is. It's like, oh no, we don't want the peasants to reproduce, so that's how we're going to do it. But that's just nice.
No, I got you. I do want to ask this question too. Have you been drinking Bud Light recently?
Kevin, I do not like beer.
No,
and now I definitely would not drink Bud Light if they dropped off duffel bags full of cash, because I'm just that American.
No, I totally understand that. What about Ben and Jerry's? Ice cream for you? No, none of that?
No, I boycotted them a couple of years ago. I actually buy everything local direct from my farmers. So I get handmade ice cream because I'm fancy like that.
That must be, hey, I don't blame you. If I had the ability to just go purchase some handmade ice cream easily, I would. Anybody, if you're listening out there on the radio, because that means you're within my area, and you make handmade ice cream, I am willing to pay you money for it, and I would love to try it. So, Andrea, that's a great idea, though.
It's delicious. Everything local direct, man. That's how you do it. You support those farmers. Then you know exactly where your food comes from.
Absolutely. Well, anything else you'd like to add, Andrea?
No, I'll let you off easy, Kev, this time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining, and keep on watching. I really appreciate it.
Great job, Kev. Thank you.
Of course. Everybody, that was my good friend, Andrea. She is a frequent viewer on YouTube and a consistent contributor on YouTube, Facebook, or basically just my streams, period. She's awesome and has a lot of fun. I always have fun talking to her. And if you want to call in or be a part of the show, feel free to text or call at 309-451-9299. And you could even leave me some comments throughout the chat if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. My YouTube channel is at Speechless Kev. That's the one that seems to be getting a lot of the traction, but you could also go to Cities 92.9 Facebook. I know I have at least one viewer on there right now, and check me out there. I am on Rumble as well, Speechless with Kev Phares. I have a lot of friends watching on there too. And I just say friends, when I say friends, like Andrea is my friend. I've never met Andrea in person, but I consider her a friend. anybody who is willing to go out on a line and say, hey, here's an objective truth. Men are men and women are women, and you can't change that. I consider you a friend in a way, because we need to be standing up for objective truth. We need to be having objective truth in society once again. And the way that you get something, that you get objective truth, that you inject it back into society when we have when it's basically common sense, but common sense ain't so common anymore, is you have to scream it from the rooftops, or in this case, from the city's 92.9 studio. And so that's exactly what I'm doing here. And so I have other stories I want to cover, but I only have a few more minutes left in this segment before I do have to take my hour break. But don't worry, everybody. We are going to be here screaming from the rooftops to make sure that the truth gets heard. And I love interacting with you guys. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video in any way, shape, or form. And if you're listening on the radio, go check it out on our Facebook. I've been doing a lot of work here at Cities trying to get all of our hosts onto streaming. Including and you can go follow all of them. David Paul Blumenshine on Sundays from 1 to 3, also has his own YouTube channel, The David Paul Blumenshine Show. Kat Peterson on YouTube, it's at Kat Peterson 929. I talked with her just on Friday, and so I might recap a little bit of that conversation while I have 2 minutes here before the hour. So I talked with Kat. One thing I talked about with her that I thought was really interesting is on MSNBC, they did this interview with this woman who owns a sustainable tampon company. She's the CEO of it. And she goes on NBC this morning, and I think it was NBC this morning, maybe some other show, but CBS it might have been. But she goes on and talks about a few things. First, how these tampons are gender inclusive. Yes, even though only women have periods. And if you know any biological man, a real man that is having some kind of excretion of blood from their groin area, they should see a doctor immediately. They should. But these tampons were gender inclusive. And she also talked about how she was working to end, quote unquote, period poverty, because apparently tampons are way too expensive. And there's a lot of problems in terms of people being able to afford them and stuff like that. And so she made like this sustainable, no plastic, biodegradable tampon. But when you look at it, it's on Target's website. They got them at Target. I know a lot of people don't shop there anymore after their gender crap, but you could buy them at Target if you really wanted to. A pack of 16 of these tampons, these gender inclusive and sustainable tampons, $9.99, a pack of 16 of them. While Tampax are like $7.99 for a pack of 40, or you get Playtex for $9.99 for a pack of 48. So how are you curing period poverty? And you're actually making it a lot more expensive for your gender inclusive people to actually get these gender inclusive menstruator tampons. Makes no sense to me. And I talked all about that with City's very own Kat Peterson last Friday on my daily show on my YouTube channel. Feel free to go check that out because I don't have time to cover that whole story here on my radio show. But thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, let's go, everybody. Let's talk on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, everywhere there. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys can always leave a comment or anything. Let's get through some of these. What happened with Ben and Jerry's? Got to go back and watch earlier, Raven. Ben and Jerry's has been woke for a long time. And 4th of July, they were just as woke. So go. And then the CEO got arrested. I laid it out pretty quickly at the beginning of this. I will cut some of this live stream and I'll make it into different posts onto my YouTube channel so that they can cut into some of the stories. I kind of planned it that way, especially since I'm not sure how consistent this week my daily shows will be just because I'm traveling for Turning Point. So yes, I got that. So I will be reposting that one. So if you don't want to watch it right now, Ty is not on right after this. Ty is usually when he is live in studio here, it's from 3 to 5 on Saturdays. But sometimes, I mean, he has different speaking engagements, things with his family. And so sometimes he can't come in live here. So if you want to keep up, go Modern Renaissance Man on YouTube. You can watch that and see everything that he does there. Let's see what else we got here. I got attacked online. I got attacked online a few years ago for criticizing the trans spokesperson for the period product. Disingenuous, really. Why should I take his word for this product quality? Seriously. Of course, Andrea. Gender inclusive tampons. Are men supposed to? I don't know, Raven. I really don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand. This society is breaking, it's crumbling, but I'm laughing my way through it because it's hilarious. I mean, these people don't even see how idiotic they are being themselves. They don't see it. No, so it's when I say the hour break meaning so I'm hitting the hour. So I have a 2 hour show. It goes from 3 to 5. And the 4 o'clock hour break, it's a longer one because there's news updates that it does on the radio at the top of the hour. And so that takes it. I won't be back live on air probably until probably about 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes from now. So whoever's watching, wherever you're watching, thank you. I see I have even some people on Facebook, and I really appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, follow wherever you're watching, do all that fun stuff. I would appreciate it. I see some people on Rumble too. I am a host on Cities 92.9, a local radio show in Central Illinois. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Woo, that'd be awesome. Thank you. And I'm going through these comments. I see. Keep on commenting. Yeah, et tu Brutus. Falling like the Roman Empire and the same reasons too. Yep. Gluttony, self-indulgence a lot. Exactly. Seriously. I want to know. I want to know. What is it? 8 billion people on the planet. And how many of them were born unto men? How many men conceived and bore those children? That many. Seriously. Let me check in on 0. Exactly. Mark. Exactly. Settle in Espanol. This is true. I've heard this one. I've actually seen people like when they didn't have like any other paper product or anything and they really needed to stop a nosebleed. I have seen people shove one up there. Oh my gosh, Andrea. Look, like the thing is I don't have an issue with the LGBTQ community. Like I don't have an issue with no, what I have an issue with is people who push my main issue, my number one, my primary is people who push the agenda onto children. People under the age of 17 about. Because by 16, 17, okay, you can start understanding, not necessarily changing your gender. That's a different story. But like the idea of sexuality and everything like that is not a conversation anybody below the age of 17, 16 really needs to have about sex or anything like that. Period. But yet they still want to do it. And then you have people wanting to and then you have people wanting to push gender transition on honestly anybody. That's a problem, I think, because if you there's so many studies to show how much irreparable physical damage it can cause, but even push 18 and older, okay, have that conversation. That's a debate to have. There is no debate worth having for allowing a minor to do that. If a minor cannot literally drive a car, that's 16. If a minor cannot own a gun, 18 to 21, then why should they be able to change their gender through drugs and surgeries? Bad idea, if you ask me. Absolutely, David. This is another thing I wanted to hit on is like I have gay friends, and I know that's like a cliche that people say, but I have friends that are gay, and they agree with me on a lot of this kind of stuff. Should not be exposed to children. Period. I have people that I know that are trans. I don't know if I'd consider them like really good friends, but it's not because they're trans, just because I don't know them that well. But like I have people that I'm cordial with and I respect that identify as trans. We just kind of stay away from politics. Is that okay? We're about to come back here. Hey, Bloomington Normal and beyond. Again, I know I'm always pushing it, but we are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. And so if you don't want to just listen to us on your radio and you want to see us actually in studio, you can go to Cities 92.9's Facebook. You can also go to my personal Facebook or my YouTube, Speechless Kev, my Twitch. If you know what Twitch is, then you could go to that one. And if you don't, ignore it. You go to Cities 92.9's Twitter or my own personal Rumble, Speechless with Kev Phares. I am consistently checking up on all of those to make sure that if you guys have comments, questions, or concerns, I can cover them. But for anybody just tuning in, you're listening to Speechless, and I'm your host, Kev Phares, conservative college student out of ISU. I'm 22, and I got a lot to say, despite the fact that the lefties don't want me to talk. I get some lefties in our text line telling me, oh, you're an idiot. Okay, well, tell me how. I mean, like, if you think I'm dumb, tell me. Tell me why. How am I dumb? And if it's an argument I made, tell me where in my argument I was wrong. Because I don't want to be like, I poke holes in my argument. I'll try. Let's have a conversation. Let's make this happen. I'm super pro free speech. Anybody who says I'm not doesn't actually listen to me. Doesn't actually know what I'm saying. And so let's have a conversation, everybody. Let's have conversation. We can have that conversation, like I said, on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Rumble, and not right here on the radio. But so we're going to have a conversation now because I've talked in the first hour. I did an update on Ben and Jerry's. I talked about the Tennessee law that made it so now kids cannot be sterilized through hormone therapy and potentially surgeries because Tennessee outlawed it and the judge finally said that they could do so. And then I talked about Bud Light and their continuing controversy. And then I talked with a good friend, Andrea, about everything that's going on in her life and what she thinks about all those controversies. But now let's get back to the strange twist in society is that being biologically correct in your terminology can actually get children suspended from school, or you as an adult could get charged with a felony or at least fined a significant amount of money. So let's cover these two stories here. So the first one is a California school suspends 2 children for misgendering a classmate. This is originally published by Fox News. I found it on the New York Post. And I'm going to go through this whole story here because it's really interesting, all the levels there are to it. Starting off with a California school district suspended 2 children 5 days after a misgendering incident took place and then subjected them to a training called restorative justice. And we're going to cover what that means, according to an email reviewed by Fox Digital. The email was sent by a recently departed principal of Herbert Hoover High School located in Glendale Unified School District. It was reported by GUSD Parents' Voices. The former principal, Jennifer Earle, described 2 students who misgendered a transgender student and then ran away as a teacher attempted to correct them. Quote, I suspended 2 students for 5 days each today and will be conducting restorative justice with students and teacher for the, quote, misgendering. In interviewing them, they admitted to being curious about a transgender person, Earle said. Quote, I asked the teacher involved in the incident how he wanted to handle it, if he wanted me to just teach them about misgendering, or would he like me to speak about being trans? He asked me to educate on transgender. It was well received from students and parents. Restorative justice will happen after the suspension, the email said. GUSD, their school district, explained to Fox Digital that they make determinations if a misgendering, generally defined as using the wrong pronouns, is considered bullying based on whether a student's perceived intent. A student, quote, has never been punished, much less suspended for accidentally using the wrong pronoun to refer to a peer or staff member. However, a student could be suspended if the action escalated to, quote, harassment or bullying, a spokesperson said. The district website explains restorative justice on its website. So first, before I get to restorative justice, because that's an interesting thing in and of itself, but the whole idea of harassment and bullying. So I do not condone harassment or bullying as a legal standpoint. No, you should not harass somebody for having the mental illness that is gender dysphoria. You should not harass somebody for that. You should not bully somebody for that. They need help. You should not harass or bully them. But the problem is that people who want to be biologically correct and do not want to perpetuate a lie for whatever reason that is, whether it's conviction to truth, conviction to biblical reality, or just simply not agreeing with the idea that men can turn into women. If you say the truth that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and you can't change that, to some, that is considered harassment or bullying. And so that's the problem, is when you use vague terms like harassment and bullying, is it really harassment or bullying, or is it simply that somebody is not going to perpetuate a lie? That's really the thing. But let's get into restorative justice, because if you're like me, you might not have really heard these words before a certain experience or something. You might not have ever heard these words ever. But restorative justice is essentially re-education of students and gaining control over a situation based on the perceived wrongs they committed. So first, the person making the restorative justice circle. So they have a circle, and you to talk about barrier breaking questions such as, what is the greatest value that guides your life? What gives you most security? If you could smash one thing, what would you smash? Describe the ideal family. The district's website continues. So this is all off of their school district's website describing restorative justice. And it says on their website, when there is harm or conflict within the established community, restorative responses help repair the damage. This is done through processes that bring harmed and harmers together to address root causes of conflict, support accountability for those responsible, and promote healing for impacted individuals. As a result, community is once again restored, bringing back a sense of belonging to all. On Facebook, I'm going to share my screen here in a moment to show you a bar chart, or not a bar chart, but a T chart that shows some different things about the restorative justice stuff. But this is one thing that's also listed on the website that's honestly kind of alarming, is that part of one's physical needs vis-a-vis restorative justice is listed as sexual expression, according to the school district. So part of restorative justice is talking about sexual expression to minors. It sounds like partially a footnote, but also something that deserves more than a footnote in terms of questioning it. A spokesperson added, quote, "In Glendale Unified, we work together with our parents as partners to create safe, inclusive environments where every child can learn and thrive. We follow all laws and policies established by California legislature and the Department of Education." So now I want to go to, this is a restorative justice chart that I'm showing on Facebook and everything. That has been acquired by the New York Post, in which it shows that it's about control as well as support, encouragement, and nurturing. So pressure limits expectations on one side, on the bottom, support, encouragement, nurturing. And it's so too punitive. So it's really kind of crazy, the kind of stuff that they're coming up with, but it's essentially a back end way of re-educating people through indoctrination because of, again, perceived moral wrongs that are committed. And so here's what I'm going to do is I want to go on a little rant here briefly about all these different justices that the left comes up with, because many people have heard of things like social justice. And then there's also this restorative justice that's being talked about, right? Okay, well, I want to start off with social justice, because that's what a lot of this is. We hear about social justice warriors, people that are for reproductive rights and are for BLM and for climate action now, all that kind of crap. Occupy Wall Street, social justice warriors. Well, the entire idea of social justice is crap. It doesn't make sense. Linguistically, it doesn't make sense. Let's break this down from the words themselves. Social and justice. So social is rooted in the Latin word socius, which means friend or ally. So social, socius, friend or ally. Well, that means social and socius are inherently subjective. Now, why is that important to recognize? Okay, so friend, if somebody is your friend, it means that you have a subjective view of them. You have a positive view of them. You are not objective on that person. You would go to bat for that person. They're an ally of yours, a friend. You are biased. If you see someone as a friend, you are inherently partial towards that person. Social, socius. Justice, on the other hand, is definitively objective. It is meant to be at least definitively objective. Justice, by definition, is the quality of being fair and reasonable. And that's according to Merriam-Webster. The quality of being fair and reasonable. Look, you're not going to be necessarily fair to a friend. You are going to put that friend on a pedestal, just as like in the opposite, you're not going to be fair to an enemy. So if society is not fair, we know that. Society in and of itself is not fair. It's not impartial. We don't have an impartial society. It can often be unreasonable as well. People get jobs. Here's an example. Nepotism, right? Nepotism. You can get a job and might have a better time getting a job because your dad or your mom worked in that place before you, your grandfather. Now, is that fair necessarily to somebody who worked their butt off and didn't have a parent and actually has better merit to get in? No. That is unfair. That is unjust. But it's the way society and our social sphere can work. Now, what does this all have to do with social justice? Well, you can't put those two words together. It's an oxymoron because you're taking something that is definitively subjective, social, society, socius, which is the Latin root, and you're taking that and pummeling it together with justice, which justice in and of itself, yes, maybe our justice system isn't always fair, balanced, and impartial. Maybe it's not. But the entire idea of justice, you cannot have justice that is rooted in society and rooted in being in social, in socius, in being a friend, ally, and being partial. You can't have that. Social justice is crap. Now, bring that back to restorative justice, the thing that these kids are going to have to go through because they misgendered a student, because they followed biological accuracy. Honestly, I think if you look at that word and those words together, restorative justice, it's entirely redundant. It's just stupid. Justice, if you're actually having justice, is in and of itself meant to be restorative. Look, if you steal $20 from somebody and you get brought to small claims court and are ordered to pay $20 back to that person and then serve a few nights in jail or something because you committed the action of stealing it, that is restorative. The person got $20 back and you had a punishment for it. Time to reflect. Or maybe you got community. You probably wouldn't get nights in jail. Community service. That's restorative in and of itself. That is restorative justice. But instead, restorative justice, as this school would like to push it, means to indoctrinate and re-educate young children to no longer have a sense of objective truth. Basically, create little illogical robots who will preach oxymoronic social justice, which I just described. Because social justice makes no sense. Restorative justice is redundant. Because restorative justice is really restorative injustice. It's Pink Floyd, another brick in the wall. We don't need no education. We don't need no mind control. Tell them that. Because that's what restorative justice is it's trying, and it's just like what me and David Shostokis talked about last week on this exact show. Why do you think in schools they don't teach that part of our founding documents in this country have to do with the right of the people to stand up and rebel against their nation? Why do you think they don't teach that? They don't teach that because they don't want you to do it. Because an educated populace is harder to control. An uneducated populace will not only easily be controlled, they'll also be pawns for the propaganders, whatever it would be. They'll be pawns for them to spread more propaganda and more crap. And so that is why they have restorative justice, which is really re-education. So yes, you can be suspended from school. A child can be suspended from school, in California at least, for being biologically accurate. Did you know you could also go to jail, potentially, for being biologically accurate? New Michigan state law says just that, and we're going to cover that In the next segment, after I take this quick break on the radio, feel free to go check this out on Cities 92.9's Facebook, Twitter, or you can check it out on my personal Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, titled Speechless with Kev Phares, last name Phares. I'll be back soon with more Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares, on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay. Sorry, everybody. I just need to take a sec. We're all out of water in the studio, and I ran out of my drink that I got earlier today when I was producing my last show. Let's go through some comments here. Absolutely, Andrea. This is true. I agree. Social justice is puke. Absolutely. That's something I've been so mad about for a while, is just because it's a perversion of language. And it sounds like social justice, like, yeah, social justice, but it doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Social justice does not exist. It's an oxymoronic term. It inherently contradicts itself. It's stupid. What is I see unconventional really makes something made your day. Oh, you went on Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. I'm recovering today. Oh, that's fun. Okay, I was reading this one. I don't know exactly what this spawned from, David, but you should go, if you guys haven't already, after I'm done with my live stream today, you should go check out my review of Wait in the Truck. I did it on one of my daily shows, and then I also reposted it just as its own thing, just because I thought it was a lot of fun. Wait in the Truck, great song, talks about standing up for women and kind of chivalry to an extent as well. So good for you, Jim, getting your screen door fixed. Check cash data. Honestly, man or woman during the war, would you really want the right to vote? It meant you could get drafted. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Is it really a right if it means you're getting drafted? That's like where I see it though. Is it really a right if like you doing it could have that consequence? I don't know. Exactly. They add justice as buzzwords. This is exactly what I'm getting at, Ryan. Absolutely. Environmental justice, climate justice, social justice. I like the idea of anything with bourbon in it. So I like that idea, Andrea. Do the one with bourbon. Yes, this is true. Let's get away from government organizations and organize ourselves. Absolutely. Just hanging out here until I come back in about 30 seconds or so. Then I'll stand back up again. My neck just hurts. I've been traveling a lot. We'll be back soon, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in wherever you're tuning in from. We'll be back soon with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. 309-451-9299. That's the number if you want to call in. 309-451-9299. Like how fast I can talk there? I do. It's just all in my mental script. Okay, about to come back. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and I'm here talking about so many different things today. I'm just absolutely fascinated by a lot of the things that are just contributing to the absolute destruction of our society as we know it and as we love it. Free speech is no longer accepted. Children are being silenced for quote unquote misgendering people, when in reality, all that means is they were using the biological truth. That makes me wonder too. So if you had somebody, so you have children. I just covered this in the last segment. It was most of what my last segment was about. But if you have children who go up to a person that is trans and on purpose, not I don't want to promote bullying, so obviously not. But like, not if they are having a conversation and they call that person a he on purpose because biologically he's a he, even though they pretend to be a she. They call that person a he, and they get suspended for bullying. What would happen? And what would happen if you had a cisgender, is what they call it, a person who identifies with the sex as they were born as, and somebody misgendered them on purpose? Would that be considered harassment? Would that be considered bullying? Would that kid get suspended? Look, it's rhetorical, and you might have an answer in your head as to what you believe, and we don't know for sure. But would a kid who is cisgendered, as they call them, would they, if they were misgendered purposefully by a peer, would that peer get in the same kind of trouble as misgendering a kid who pretends to be another gender? I don't know. Food for thought. But one thing I do know is that you can now, if you live in Michigan, you could potentially get a felony because you misgendered somebody. Yes, this is true. Out of Fox News, Michigan House passes bill. It still needs to go through their Senate, but their House passes a bill that pushes using wrong pronouns to be a felony and a fine of up to $10,000. A recently passed bill in Michigan could make it a felony to intimidate someone by intentionally using the wrong gender pronouns, according to some legal experts. Michigan's State House of Representatives has passed HB 4474, a piece of legislation that criminalizes causing someone to feel threatened by words. Which is actually also already a law, by the way. Assault is legally if you directly threat somebody. If you were to go up to somebody and say, I am going to punch you, that is considered assault and you can get arrested for that. But this takes it a step further. It criminalizes causing someone to feel threatened by words. Under the new bill, offenders are, quote, guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment for not more than 5 years or by a fine of not more than $10,000. And this is to intimidate, means to willfully course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable individual to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, and that actually causes the victim to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, the bill reads. So the bill specifically addresses sexual orientation and gender identity expression as protected classes. According to the bill, gender identity or expression, meaning having or being perceived as having a gender-related self-identity or expression, whether or not associated with an individual's assigned sex at birth. Critics are accusing the bill of violating the First Amendment, rightfully so, quote, saying, make no mistake about it, those advocating for this legislation will wield these policies as a weapon capable of destroying conservative expression or viewpoints grounded in the sacred. Distinguished Professor Emeritus William Wagner told the media outlet The Daily Wire. And so here's the whole thing with this that I find interesting. So, and obviously the lefties that wrote this bill would not agree, but I think it's funny how it says, so you're making someone feel threatened by words, and it says in the bill, to intimidate means a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable individual, again, would cause a reasonable individual to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened. And actually causes that victim to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened. And this is basically, it's written super vaguely so that it can be applied to things like misgendering somebody, saying, oh, hello, sir, when it's actually a ma'am. And so I'm sure you guys have all seen that video from a few years ago where it was an obvious man who pretends to be a woman, was in like a GameStop or something, screaming his head off like, it's ma'am, it's ma'am, it's ma'am. Now, I wouldn't call that person a reasonable individual. And I would go as far to say that that person in that store that threw a temper tantrum for being, quote unquote, misgendered probably made others in that store feel threatened. But I don't think that this law that's being put into place is for the other people in that store. I think it enables people to genuinely get others thrown in jail for saying biological truth. That's what I believe is happening here. You have a bill from the state of Wisconsin that is actively going to suppress speech and make it so that misgendering somebody could get you locked in jail for 5 years. 5 years. Free speech is dying, folks. And people in Michigan, if this passes your state Senate, then wow, you are going to be living in a draconian time of of compelled speech. You're going to be compelled to speak in a way that you don't necessarily agree with. How does that feel? That'd be scary. That's scary to me. And it's the way our country's headed if we don't do something about it and if we don't stand up for objective truth and speech. So if you live in Michigan, please call your state reps, your representatives, and let them know that this is a scary slope that we are headed down. I do have to take a quick break, but I do have a lot more to talk about in terms of especially social issues. I want to talk about this one, which is really interesting. Basically, the equivalent of a European Miss Universe crowns a biological man, causing some to question, is it now Mr. Universe? We're going to talk all about that in the next segment and a few other things, such as the racism in the country music industry that people are talking about with a new number one that's actually a cover of a famous song. We're going to talk all about that and more as we come back here with the last half hour of Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Thank you so much. Yes, 309-451-9299 is the number. I'd like to try to keep it short as best as I can, unconventional, because I do want to make sure I get through these other few stories. But 309-451-9299 is that number. I'll put it up on screen real quick, too. So if you want to do that, I believe, no, I don't have it scrolling around in the ticker at the bottom, but that's the number if you are interested. Thanks to anybody and all who are tuning in right now. I hope you guys had a wonderful 4th of July and anything else that you're up to. Hope it's all fun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share no matter where you are watching from. I appreciate it. I took a Snapchat there. Hope you guys like seeing what I do in outside of just being on the radio and on YouTube and stuff. I am a real person. Assuming that's unconventional calling right now, so I'm going to answer that. Hey, is this unconventional? Hey, I'm doing all right. Yourself? I'm going to bring you back when we're live on air. Okay, so I'm going to put you on hold right now, and then I'll bring you back on. Sounds good. Talk to you soon. Yes, I am here talking to you guys. We'll be back soon, like I said. We will. We'll be back. What's the weather like outside right now? It was really nice earlier. You guys want to look at it with me? It's a pretty nice day. Oh, cannot see that. I see that the lighting is awful, but it's a really nice day out here in central Illinois. I think it's like in the maybe low 70s, high 60s, something like that. It's pretty nice. I'm liking it. I'm excited to get outside after I'm done with my show. Going down to Florida this week. Can't wait for that. Gonna get some great content down there. I see I'm getting some comments. I'll get to those in a second. It's nice over there in Utah. That's cool. Yep. I like it here. It's a fun job for me to have through college. I like it. I get to meet a lot of cool people, and that's a lot of fun. Let's see any other comments. I'm sorry, I'm yawning. I don't mean to. I'm just really, like I said, I had that wedding yesterday and had a lot of fun at that, but I had a lot of travel coming up too. And that makes me, I don't know if I've got you guys, but traveling, I mean, I love traveling and like I love getting to the place and doing the things that I go to do, but it can just be so tiring going through different airports or in this case, driving, everything like that. It's not easy. So yeah, we'll be back soon here with my next segment, my last longer segment on Cities 92.9 on the radio. I have a few stories I want to cover, but I got to get to unconventional first. I hear it's her birthday, so oh man, David, you're going through a lot of travel too. I got you. Yep. Unconventional. I see you commenting there. We will be back soon for everybody that's watching. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you're watching from. I sure do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow me if you're watching on Rumble or anything like that. Give me a comment. I don't see any comments on my Rumble. I'm interested. Come on, guys. Give me a comment. I dare you. I dare you. We're about to come back here and then unconventional. I'll get you on real quick after we get back. Oh, somebody just followed me though on Rumble. So I love you because I just saw it went up. It went up. God bless. 10 seconds. Then we're back. Hey, and welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and yes, I'm speechless, so much so that apparently you can't even call somebody by the correct gender anymore. If you misgender somebody in Michigan, you could have to pay a fine and get a felony charge for it. And that's just absolutely crazy to me. People in Michigan, you must be speechless. And so if you're one of those people and you want to make sure that news keeps getting out there, and we don't actually get made speechless, please like, subscribe, and share on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, wherever you're watching from. And if you're listening on the radio, go check out those different places: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Rumble. You can go check out all those. And you can see me live in studio. Talk to me. We got chatters in there, a lot of people chatting, and it's having a great time. We're having a great conversation, and I love it. I love it. And it's been such a great conversation. We've been talking about so many great things that I have one of my frequent listeners and viewers out there that gave a call into the station at 309-451-9299. And so that's why I got Unconventional on the line. How's it going, Unconventional?
All is well, Kev. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I heard it was your birthday. And so happy birthday to you and everybody out there. If you want to go comment on YouTube or anything like that, wish Unconventional a happy birthday. How are you doing this fine birthday Sunday for yourself?
Well, I am recovering. Just like you were saying about traveling, it can be quite exhausting, but fun at the same time. But I did want to comment on your last segment real quick and say, in my opinion, I feel that the government is kind of strong arming us and fear mongering us to agree with the agenda that's being pushed right now.
Oh, I have no doubt about it. Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing I want to add, and I want to let you finish, but one thing I want to add even too with that is that, so what they're doing, as I talked about 2 segments ago, I talked about how the kids were getting suspended from school for misgendering in the classroom. So here's what's happening from what I see it, is that they're trying to re-educate the children to follow the woke agenda that they have regarding gender. And for those that they cannot re-educate, adults, because they've already gone through the education system, we're too old to be given the mind control indoctrination that is public education, they try to make us fearful, right, of a felony or $10,000 charges of 5 years in prison potentially. And so you're right. That's exactly what they're doing. They're strong arming us because they can't re-educate us, but they will re-educate your kids.
Absolutely, and you've put it perfectly. I can't even come after that because that is definitely the whole agenda. And if you don't bend, we will bend you, is what they're actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something that we have to continue to keep fighting towards, to not give in to that, because it's asinine, to say the least.
Absolutely.
So everybody have a great one, and I'll continue to check in with you. And have a good one, Kev.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Unconventional, and happy birthday. Thank you so much for calling. And anybody else, if you're interested in calling in, feel free to do so at 309-451-9299. Add your 2 cents. You can talk right with me, right on air. It's a lot of fun. 309-451-9299. Thank you so much again, Unconventional. And you can, she's watching right there on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. She's on YouTube, but I want to make sure everybody knows you can go watch me on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Rumble and talk with me and see everything that I'm doing right here in studio. I produce my own show, and it's a lot of fun, and it's really fast paced. I just keep going and going and going and going. And to keep going, I have Miss Universe of the Netherlands, which is called Miss Nederlands, crowns biological man as their winner. Yes, this is a real thing. A biological man won Miss Netherlands. And so I have actually a video here. I believe they're talking in a different language, so it might not be very fun for anybody on the radio. So I'll keep it short, but I want to share my screen here. You can actually see and hear. This is when that man, that biological man, got crowned Miss Universe. Here is that video. It has music in the background. I didn't know that. I watched it on mute earlier, so you can see in the video the biological man who does an okay job at looking like a woman, but is a biological man. Mr. Universe, everybody. Mr. Nederlands. That's it. Mr. Nederlands. That's Mr. Nederlands for everybody. Getting crowned. Mr. Nederlands. Yes, out of the Daily Wire. So this is a person, I'm going to go to TMZ first because that's who lays it out pretty objectively. 22-year-old, actually, so my age, this person is my age, Ricky Valerie Cole, won the pageant Saturday, which effectively makes him Miss Netherlands, and which will send him on to compete in the upcoming Miss Universe competition later this year, where women from all over the world will fight for the crown. The last Miss Netherlands, Ona Moody, and reigning Miss Universe, Rabani Gabrielle from the USA, were on hand to give Cole the big prize. Everyone seems stoked. That's out of TMZ. So Ricky Valerie Cole, who is the Miss Netherlands, who's Mr. Nederland, Cole, the first transgender identifying Miss Netherlands winner, will also participate in Holland's Next Top Model television show in 2018, according to Dutch public broadcaster NOS. He will be the second man to compete in Miss Universe, with the first hailing from Spain in 2018. Miss Universe has allowed trans-identifying contestants since 2012. I'm sorry, I pushed in sentences there. Miss Universe has allowed trans-identifying contestants since 2012, People reports. The Miss Netherlands judges said Cole, quote, has a strong story with a clear mission, adding that they were convinced that the organization of Miss Nederland will enjoy working with him, according to translated comments from NOS. Cole on Instagram, the man who won, I did it. He said, it's unreal, but I get to call myself Miss Nederland 2023. It was an educational and beautiful journey. My year can't be broken anymore, making my community proud and showing it can be done, the translated post says. It's just so insane to me, right? Like we see a lot of things like this. Look, like Hershey's for their Women's Month brought in a biological man to promote Women's Month. We have Target who puts tuck-friendly swimsuits. People are really enabling this mental illness, and that's the scariest thing to me. Is it's just going so far at this point. I'm not surprised. And in the tweet that I brought up earlier with the video, This guy says, this is Ed Krasenstein. I take some of his stuff sometimes, not take it, but like when he has videos that I find, I follow him a bit. Then he points out in there that if you're an American commenting on this, he says, quote, keep in mind that culture and acceptance levels in different nations often differ from ours. Their governments differ and their ideologies differ in a lot of ways. Just like the gun laws that we have here in the United States are considered ridiculous in countries like Japan and the Netherlands. And just like you don't think they should have a say in our gun laws, most people in these countries feel the same when it comes to your opinions on these types of matters. That doesn't mean you can't have your own opinions. If you think and care, but if you think they care about your opinions, though, I highly doubt it. And I don't expect them. I don't expect Nederlands or Miss Nederlands, whatever. I don't expect them to care about my opinion, and I'm not asking them to. I know that they probably don't, but I think the point of it is that it speaks to the larger issue. The larger issue being that across the world, the ideas of acceptance are what's shrouding over and is a blanket over the true issue, which is the hiding of objective truth and the degeneration of objective truth. And thus the degeneration of society. If we can't have a fundamental building block of what makes humans or what makes man, man, and woman, woman, we can't have that fundamental building block. What's the point of having what makes a human a human? Why can't I be a dog or a dolphin or a cat? And there are people that push that ideology too. And it's crazy. And it's crazy. That will cause a destruction of society when everything is something and nothing is everything. You want to know why that sounded confusing? It's because that's what they're doing, is they're creating it so that it's to a point where it makes no sense and it's wildly confusing because it makes no sense. That's what's going on. And it all hinges on the gender ideology. And so pushing it to be accepted as if a man can just become a woman is not only insulting to women, but it's also adding to the denigration of the fundamental building blocks of truth and society. And that's just what it is. Like, I don't, what else do you want me to say about it? Because like, I'm mad about it. I'm unhappy about it, but what else is there to say about it? What we need to do, because that's oftentimes what people, I'm not just here to complain as much as it can seem like that. I'm not just here to complain. What we need to do though, is call this kind of crap out. And like we've done with Bud Light and like we're going to do with Ben and Jerry's and we've done with Target, boycott as much as you can. And I hope that there's somebody within Miss Universe that will come out and be the spokesperson for saying why this is wrong, why perverting truth and cosplaying gender is wrong. And I hope somebody within Miss Universe has the proverbial balls to do it. I hope so. But everybody, I got more stories to cover in the last 10 minutes of Speechless. But first, I got to take this break. So please, please, please stay with me after the break. You could also check me out on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble. I'd love to see you there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Everybody will be back soon with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I'm picking a fight. I'm always picking a flipping fight. I'm a fighter. That's what I do. Andrea, I always pick fights. Doop. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're on Facebook, please like the video. I'd really appreciate it. Anywhere else, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, anything like that, like the video. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And make sure you're following the page wherever you're watching. We'll be back soon with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington more normal and beyond. It's raining in Pennsylvania. That sucks. Yeah, I get that. I don't take days off. No days off. Rarely do I take days off. I kind of took a day off on July 4th, but I did a lot of work on July 3rd to prep for that. So if you're going to be a party animal, you're going to have to learn to live in the jungle. Well, apparently I live in the jungle then, because I am a party animal. Rock and roll, kind of. I've been to Pennsylvania a few times, Andrea. I have. I went to Pennsylvania I had actually an ex-girlfriend now. Wonderful person. Still love her to death as a person. Just didn't work out. But I had an ex-girlfriend, and she lived, she went to school in Gettysburg. So I went to visit her in Gettysburg. And so I visited Pennsylvania. I actually even have funny story. One of my flights back from West Palm Beach in about a week flies through. I have a connector through Philadelphia. So I will be in Philadelphia for like 2 hours next week. All right, Raven, you're a bird. You're a raven. Excuse me. I have a roof to jump off. I would advise you not to do that, but you can if you would like to. But again, I would advise you not to do that. Good to see you back. David, thank you for joining. I sure do appreciate it. Ooh, taking a quick break here, everybody. We will be back, though, soon with more Speechless. Keep an eye on your comments and everything. I see y'all in Rumble. Everybody in Rumble is quiet, though. It says I have 13 people watching, and not a single one of you has actually sent a comment or anything. Boo-hoo. But yep, I'll cut up this video. So if you missed any of it, keep an eye on the channel and everything. Along with my daily shows, I'll post the cut up versions of some of this live stream. So you can see different stories and stuff that I've done. I know you're kidding. I was also kidding. About I know you're kidding, bud. That's funny. You know, the government has been treating us like children. It's very simple. There's something crazy in the woods. Don't worry, I'll protect you. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I will be back soon. Probably about, gosh, this is a long break before I get back. Good thing I went to break because this is long. Yeah, I'm only going to have like 2-ish minutes when I come back, if that. I got a story, though, that I can do in that time quickly. Maybe 3 minutes. We'll make this work. Okay, about to come back. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Nothing is going to break my stride, and I only have a few more minutes, and I have one more story I really want to cover before the end of this show. So if you missed anything, please go back on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble. You can watch everything that I was doing earlier in the show, but I want to do this last story because I think it's really interesting, and I love music. I talk about music a lot, and one song I've been listening to practically on repeat recently has recently hit the top of the music charts, or the country music charts, and even just the Billboard Top 100. And it's Fast Car, covered by Luke Combs. So Luke Combs, an amazing country singer, has been known in country music for quite some time now as being one of the top and most listened to radio country singers. in a long time. And so Tracy Chapman is the original writer of the song Fast Car. It's an amazing song about working and being a person that works through poverty and working through not having that much money. And so but the left is coming after Luke Combs, saying that everybody's racist. Yes, so 35 years after Tracy Chapman released, this is out of Jezebel.com, and it's a blog, basically. 35 years after Tracy Chapman released Fast Car, the iconic ode to the poverty, aging, and unrealized dreams song has become a #1 hit on the Billboard's country airplay chart, cementing her, Tracy Chapman, as the first Black woman songwriter to reach the top since its debut in 1990. How does a 3.5-decade-old hit manage that? Well, in this case, according to Jezebel, it's a white man in a trucker hat decided to sing it. That's right. Thanks to Luke Combs' cover of Fast Car, Chapman has made country music history. I never expected to find myself on the country charts, but I'm honored to be there, Chapman told Billboard in a characteristically graceful statement. I'm happy for Luke and his success and grateful that new fans have found and embraced Fast Car. Combs' cover premiered in April 2023 and immediately racked up 46 million worldwide streams. Apparently, he's even included on Chapman's hit in the set list throughout the year. So he's had it in for a long time. And this blog writer said, it is profoundly cool to witness Chapman receive a long overdue acclaim from country music radio, an institution that's historically been hostile to Black singer-songwriters, especially to women who don't exclusively sing about their daddy and daydreams about Mr. Right. Heck yeah. But that it arrived on Combs's cowboy heels is just kind of a bleak dose of reality. So this blogger and lefty is trying to say that this is such a bad thing. Okay, well, first off, Tracy Chapman is not a country singer. So this is honestly really cool, mainly like blues and folk and rock, but not country. And so it's really cool that somebody who's not even a country artist is now on the country charts because of Luke Combs. But I think it's insane that this person is basically saying it's white supremacy that is making it, that's the only way that this Black woman got her song on the country charts. No, maybe it's just simply that Luke Combs has been famous for quite a while now, and he did a really good cover of a really good song. She also tries to claim here that singer-songwriters that don't sing, female singer-songwriters that don't exclusively sing about daddy and daydreams about Mr. Right. Have you heard like some of the most popular songs by female country artists? Listen to them. Miranda Lambert, Gunpowder and Lead, Mama's Broken Heart, Carrie Underwood singing about digging a key into the side of a Chevy. I think it's a Chevy. Digging a key, carving her name into the leather seats. Are you kidding me? A significant amount of country female songs are about killing the dudes that are treating them like crap. They're usually pretty violent and scary. So to claim that it's white supremacy that's keeping women, and specifically Black women, off of the country music charts? No. It's not that. It's not that whatsoever. And Tracy Chapman is an amazing artist that came out with an amazing statement after this whole thing happened. And after Luke Combs is now at #1 or close to #1 after Morgan Wallen's last night, she comes out and says, I'm just happy to be here. And it is really cool that a Black woman's song is at #1 in the country charts because it's a good song, objectively. It has nothing to do with race. She's not a country artist. A country artist covered her song in a country twang and with more of a country style of guitar in the background and did a great job. But nobody can ever let anybody have a win. It's always got to be, well, it might be a good thing, but it's still white supremacy. This is crap. And this is the kind of crap the left tries to peddle. Is that you can't have anything good in the world because in some way it's white supremacy, it's misogyny, it's any of the isms. No one can have a win anymore. No one can have a win. My gosh. This blog ends out with, though I'd love to see more of Chapman preferably performing her own dang song, I'm glad my girl's at least getting newfound recognition and royalty paychecks. It's insane. Everybody go out and listen to Tracy Chapman and Luke Combs' version of Fast Car. They're both great. But one is country and one's not. And this person, this blog writer on Jezebel.com is real mad that Tracy Chapman has her song as number 1 on country charts because Luke Combs covered it. I guarantee you, if Lainey Wilson covered it, probably could hit number 1 too. Lainey Wilson, not necessarily a black female, but still a female. And there's black guys black people that have topped the country charts before. Darius Rucker from Hootie and the Blowfish that ended up doing his own solo career had a Rock Me Mama Like the Wind in the Wagon Wheel. That's the song, Wagon Wheel. So for anybody who wants to claim that it's just those racist country artists and racist country listeners and white supremacy, you're an idiot that doesn't understand music. Listen and go back in history and realize right now, country is the most accepting genre of all of them. Right now, country is the most accepting genre. And I've gone a little over, but this is the end of it for this week, guys. I got to log off and everything, but thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back next week with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, guys, I am going to have to log off. I got to go home. I haven't been home in like 48 hours. Shania Twain has been all over the place. You're right. I love all my conversations about music. We'll talk about this more. Absolutely, Fast Car. She was pretty good. She sang them. Then she played guitar. She was awesome. I just think it's so crazy. I was going full Bongino today. I just think it's crazy. Everything's white supremacy. Everything's white supremacy. No, it isn't. Shut the flip up. Awesome. Well, God bless you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And check out some of my other content that has to do with music. I have the Hardy Wait in the Truck review that was really good on YouTube. And there's going to be, when I post this later, after it's done being live and everything and I can edit it, there's going to be videos that pop up on the side. Check any of those out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and tune in throughout the week. More Speechless coming at you.